It was just over 100 years ago that Carl Benz introduced the world to the gasoline-powered motor wagon. 17 years later, Henry Ford popularized the machine in America. From the start, the measure of a car's performance has been competition. First against the horse, later car versus car. But the ultimate test comes here at the Daytona International Speedway, where on the third Sunday of February, 42 of racing's giants assemble to do battle at 200 miles an hour. On Monday, most will be forgotten, but one will have created a headline to be remembered. The Daytona 500, the great American race, for many, the great American dream. It starts very early, maybe with that first car racing through a sandbox. It grows with patience and pride.
It's time to go to bed. Turn out the light.
Lucky number 7.
As a wobbly soapbox racer takes shape,
You really think you're going to need that brake, boy?
Nope.
the lure of competition and a taste of winning turns a child's pastime into an adolescent quest for victory.
Come on, man. You've been on this all day. Let's get out of here and play some ball.
I got to finish up.
All right.
While others imagine a Super Bowl victory or soaring like Michael Jordan, a young racer toils in obscurity, bumping and grinding around dimly lit bull rings on countless Saturday nights. A once wistful dream turns to single-minded determination for a $15 trophy, a $100 check, and a kiss from the county beauty queen.
Number 7 is your winner.
Only the determined, dedicated few make it from the dirt tracks of small-town America to Daytona and the great American race.
And now driving car number 7 and starting his first.
This is the
Daytona
story of some of the men who did, and their moment of glory at the birthplace of speed. It is the story of the Daytona 500. Drama, danger, dedication. Drama, danger, dedication. You find these qualities in so many sports. Gymnastics, football, even the stately Olympic equestrian events. I'm Ken Squire here to tell you that stock car racing's a little different. Anyone that owns a driver's license can get that sense of drama just by pulling out onto an interstate. That queasy feeling when you pull up alongside an 18-wheeler and wonder, hey, if this cat has a blowout, am I going to end up in the weeds? You magnify that to 195 miles an hour, run inches apart from another car, and you're ready to go Winston Cup stock car racing right here at Daytona. You may never get to feel that sensation of throwing that touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, but you can feel the drama, the danger, the dedication of Daytona. And we experienced them all in the 1991 Daytona 500. The day beginning with a stirring tribute as 150,000 strong joined with drivers and crewmen to dedicate the great American race to America's men and women in the Persian Gulf.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
In the weeks leading up to the 500, all talk centered around one man, the Intimidator, the 4-time Winston Cup champion who'd spent a dozen years trying to win the 500. Dave Despain on pit road.
If we believed every word that had been written and said about this race, we'd give Dale Earnhardt the checkered flag and the money right now. How about it, Dale? Do you think you're as good as everybody says you are today?
Well, we hope so, Dave. The car's been working good all week, and, you know, it's the Daytona 500. There's a lot of competitive cars here, and it's a long day today, so you've got to run good all day long. You got to have the luck with you, too. So, you know, we proved that last week that last year here, you don't win it by this car alone. You win it by a little luck to go with it.
Real quick, you're not the kind of guy that lets the pressure that everybody's put on you get to you, do you?
Well, we haven't yet, so hopefully we can withstand the pressure. We just want to get today behind us and see if we come on victory lane.
A Daytona 500 victory is the major NASCAR jewel Dale Earnhardt has not won. But in 1990, he had come oh so close.
Half a lap to go.
4-car shootout to decide it all. Dale Earnhardt.
Here comes Cope down on the inside. Earnhardt has problems.
Slopping back. Something is amiss. Here comes the field driving for the finish. And on the outside, it is car number 10, Derek Cope. Something amiss on the Earnhardt car. Coming to the line. It's Labonte pulling up, and an amazing finish.
With his wife Teresa looking on, Earnhardt had cut down a tire on a piece of debris, lost the race about 600 yards from the line. Now, in 1991, Earnhardt and others expected the 91 500 to turn on some complicated new NASCAR regulations introduced to eliminate pit road injuries. But in the end, it was a classic Daytona finish, decided by racing luck in a paint-swapping wheel-to-wheel duel. Calling the race with me, Ned Jarrett, David Hobbs, Chris Economaki, and Mike George.
Earnhardt on the bottom for second.
Shaking his fist at somebody already. I think he got tagged there, by the way. He took a big bite of that wheel. Crossed the stripe for the first time. Davey Allison still leads, but just look at the way that Dale Earnhardt's able to stay out of the draft and just pulled by our pole sitter, Davey Allison.
That's pure horsepower, David.
A report from Mike Joy.
Ken, if you have a good close look at the left front corner of Dale Earnhardt's car, you'll find not everybody here is a fan of his. He has hit a seagull in a critical part of that car, right in the inlet for the oil cooler. Richard Childress wants to know what it looks like from your point of view.
Anybody see feathers? We may be able to see what happened to Earnhardt out here.
Yeah, you can see right there. The bird flew right into the left corner of his Chevrolet. I don't believe, Ken, that there's enough covered the air intake area that it would affect it too much.
Coming by to complete 76
Whoa,
laps.
there's a trouble. Turn 4. That is Bodine in trouble. They came down through. I think someone was thinking about ducking in as they came out of that left turn.
Luckily for Jeff Bodine, this is a blue pit stop lap, and so he can legitimately stop now and change the tires.
And without any kind of a penalty.
Riding with Bodine after that wild spin. Here he comes in. He can change tires. He is now on pit road after that wild ride out of 4. They are coming back to the line, and as they do, Davey Allison is in first. In the car number 28, Joe Ruttman is in second place. Davey Allison coming down. Joe Ruttman took first place, but in front of Joe Ruttman was the number 3 car of Earnhardt. That now puts him back in the lead lap.
That's my opinion, Ken. We'll have to wait for official scoring, but according to our calculations, it would put Earnhardt back in the lead lap. And Ruttman has yet to take on any tires. He's going to have a pit stop coming up before too long, but Dale Earnhardt has 4 tires at the 111th lap.
Leader, Joe Ruttman. Here's the 11 car. Let's see if he's back in and going slowly. And now Ruttman is going to pit. This will put Ernie Urban into first place. With 24 laps to go, Ernie Urban out of Modesto, California, who packed his things up, got in his pickup truck, and came east a few years back. Ran some races in the Automobile Racing Club of America, ARCA, which is many times a preliminary event for major Winston Cup races, like at Pocono and Atlanta. He won a race up at Atlanta and ARCA and was first discovered. And he made good friends with a guy that has paid off for him. A guy that really kept him in the East and kept him racing. Some fellow named Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt did help Ernie Urban when he first came east.
Incident in the back straightaway. Car number 43, Richard Petty, is involved. We believe 2 other cars. Robbie Gordon has crashed in number 90. He's up against the outside wall as you enter turn 3. Here's Richard refiring car number 43 to bring it about. Here comes the man in black, Earnhardt to the inside, trying to win the race he's never won. 48 Winston Cup victories, but the Daytona 500s elude him. He's won everything else here. The 400 in July.
Whoa,
one car in the wall.
Wallace.
Wallace slams the wall on the outside. Another car breaking loose. Derek Cope spinning to the line.
And Darrell Waltrip in the pits.
Yeah, Darrell Waltrip in trouble.
Derek Cope.
4 more cars right here at the start finish line. Blowing tires. Caution is out. As you watch these replays.
There we see Rusty Wallace really seemed to be all on his own when he set. We'll have to have a look at that again, I'm afraid.
The radio is saying he feels he was tagged by Kyle Petty. We will need to look again. Let's look at it here.
View. Ernie Irvan in the yellow car. Yep, he's definitely leaning on the front of that car of Rusty Wallace.
Yep, he did clip him. Just enough.
Lucky is Rick Mast. Unlucky, Waltrip.
And unlucky, there again, the back of his car coming off the floor there.
One of the unluckiest right there. With the caution, Earnhardt may be in shape to finally win this 500. Billed in the early days as one tough customer. Billed these days as the intimidator, but this track has intimidated him for years. Just could not win here. Is it about to change? We'll see. Ernie Irvan has other ideas, as does Kyle Petty in 3rd, Joe Ruttman 4th, Sterling Marlin 5th, Rick Mast 6th, Davey Allison 7th. 7 cars in that lead lap. Earnhardt stays 1st, Ernie Irvan in 2nd. Here's Davey Allison coming up to 3rd. Kyle Petty in 4th. Now Kyle drops back, and it's Joe Ruttman into 4th. Look at this run down the inside. Car number 4 sliding through, and Ernie Irvan planks it in there.
Something wrong with Earnhardt's car. That maybe has a tire going down or something. It just doesn't look as smooth in the turns. He and Davey Allison touch going down the backstretch into turn 3. Earnhardt trying to hang on, but I don't know. That car just not working in the turns like it did earlier.
Coming about out of turn number 4, down to the line. 196 laps complete this time by. Ruttman drops to the inside. Remember, his best finish here at Daytona has been 3rd. He's had some seconds on other tracks. 3rd was his best run here. And look, they're still locked side by side.
And of course, that's just playing right into the hands of Ernie Irvan at this stage of the game.
And there's trouble off the turn 2.
Ernie Irvan in front of
and Davey Allison. Dale Earnhardt and Davey Allison both out of this race.
Ernie Irvan racing back to the line with a big advantage. There's Davey Allison's car coming to a stop. Ernie Irvan coming down. If it finishes here under caution, it'll be the first Californian to win this race since Marvin Panch back in 1961. Look again at what happened here. On the inside.
Oh, Davey on the outside, Earnhardt down on the inside. Earnhardt's car breaks loose. The rear end of the car they didn't touch before it broke loose, and he gets into Davey just a little bit. Ruttman gets by. Sterling Marlin gets by. Here's Kyle Petty. He gets collected up. Boy, the car going up off the ground.
Nearly squeaked through. Davey Allison really was terribly unfortunate there. He just touched that wall.
And the 1991 winner of the Daytona 500 is Ernie Irvan, the Morgan McClure Chevrolet.
Once again, the great American race had written another unpredictable storybook ending. That is its trademark.
The great American race, this Daytona 500, can trace its beginnings to a great deal of hard work and entrepreneurship by one man, a great showman, William Howard Getty France. He built this speedway, and he also created the empire that is known as NASCAR. Created it out of a group of good-time players and early dirt track racers back in the 40s and 50s. But Roll Bar Romantics will tell you that it actually started much earlier. Brock Yates, the poet laureate of Pit Row.
You could probably peg the start of stock car racing in the year 1793. Now, that was 100 years before they invented the automobile, but it was the year of the Whiskey Rebellion, when frontier farmers rose up after the government levied a tax on whiskey. The folks who lived in these Appalachian mountains considered whiskey a farm product. Rather than pay, they built secret stills deep in the hollows in the hardwood forests. Then came Prohibition in 1920, and the illegal whiskey business began to boom. As the stills blossomed in the mountains, a delivery system was created, a fast freight line run by an elite squad of expert drivers. They hauled the booze out of the Appalachians to the thirsty cities, roaring over the hills and through the hollows at incredible speeds. It was dangerous work that could get you thrown in jail or killed. But it spawned some of the best race drivers in the world. Just ask Junior Johnson.
Yes, there was. A lot of great race drivers came out of these hills. Most of them was, you know, haul booze and stuff of that nature. And I think the greatest race drivers we ever had came from back in the hills running moonshine.
At the end of World War II, small stock car tracks began to open throughout the South. The bootleggers like Junior came to race. After all, they were the best drivers, and their cars were the fastest. It was a lot like the back roads, with one notable exception.
If you lost, it was kind of a fun thing. You laughed it off and went on. Hauling whiskey, if you did not win that race, you was in a lot of trouble. So you was under a lot more pressure hauling booze than you were racing.
Junior and his friends have long since gone on to the big time, but the tradition remains. And some of the product, too. It's not exactly bottled in bond, but it's the real thing, just like the motor racing that it spawned. Cheers.
In the 50s, the real racing was done on the beach at Daytona. All started by a towering giant of a man who built an empire on a simple credo. Always give the fans a good show.
He is the master organizer in auto racing. In the 30s, he arrived in Daytona Beach with less than $5 and built an empire. Founded NASCAR, built the Daytona and Alabama speedways. Bill France Sr., considered the most successful man in motorsports. And recently, he took us back to the actual place where it all began, the beach. What was it like down here on the beach?
Well, it was very rustic. This road has been moved over from the beach. The old road was over there on the left.
How fast do they run down that two-lane highway?
They run close to 140, 145 miles an hour. I know the convertibles were running 143.
On those skinny little tires going 140 miles per hour, I think you must have had some hellacious wrecks.
We didn't have too many on the straightaway here. Once in a while, somebody'd lose it going into the north turn, and the sand would be a little soft up there after it had been chewed up a while. This was a relatively sharp turn, and these sand dunes have changed a little bit, but we used to have a big scoring stand up on the sand dunes right there. There was a man had built a grandstand. It was a little disconcerting to put an event on and then have a property owner build his own grandstand, you see.
That must have been a thrill, have 4 or 5 guys wide just come down through here at 100 miles an hour, 120, 30.
Oh, yeah, it was a thrill, and if you got up behind somebody, the spray would cloud your windshield up, so you had to have long arms. When I was racing on it, I had an advantage because I could reach around to clean my windshield off, and some of the guys with the short arms couldn't do that.
What kind of a driver was Bill France?
No, I was never a mean driver. I think I won my share of races. I like to win. I haven't lost a whole lot of things in my life.
In 1956, Bill France took the biggest gamble of his life, building the Daytona International Speedway. 3 years and $3.5 million later, this 2.5-mile trioval hosted the first Daytona 500. That first 500 was such a landmark event. Walter Cronkite came to cover it, and it ended in an unbelievable photo finish. Except back then, there were no electronic finish line cameras in place, and the wrong guy won. Johnny Beauchamp got the trophy and the kiss. 3 days later, Lee Petty got the cash and the record book declaration as the official winner. The legendary Joe Weatherly, number 48, was actually a lap down, but with 3 cars straddling the line, it remains one of the closest finishes in history. 2 years later, Lee Petty and Beauchamp would be involved in one of the most memorable crashes in Daytona history, going through the fence off turn 4. Both Lee Petty and Beauchamp survived, but it led to Lee Petty's retirement. He took up a less strenuous form of driving and turned the keys over to son Richard. Richard was to go on to win 5 Daytona 500s in the 60s and 70s, highlighted by back-to-back victories in 73 and 74. But the people's favorite in the early 60s was a Daytona hometowner. Glenn Fireball Roberts won in 1962, but he died following a fiery crash in Charlotte 2 years later. Though men like Roberts, Marvin Panch, Tiny London, Freddie Lorenzen carried on that France vision of Daytona, it's hard to imagine that even Big Bill dreamed that dramatic finishes like 59 would become typical, even expected.
The 1979 Daytona 500 started under caution conditions. Yellow was out for a wet track. Little did we know how prophetic that yellow flag would be.
It's okay to race. Let's see what happens. Watch for that switch to turn, and we will be racing.
Mr. Starter, all yours. Come on, Chip, let him out.
There's the word. Light goes green. Ben Gazzara drops the green flag, and the field hurdles into turn number 1. It's Bobby Allison low, Donnie Allison high. Side by side into turn 1 at over 190 miles an hour.
And Cale Yarborough getting a nice draft from both of them there. Donnie Allison.
Oh, Donnie Allison out of control. He's spinning. He gets hit by his brother. He's all the way around.
Cale Yarborough's on the grass, that wet grass now incredibly slippery.
Donnie and Bobby Allison off the track, spinning, splashing their way down through. This will bring out a caution flag, and Cale Yarborough
desperately trying to get that car back on the track now, because they just might get stuck in the mud. That might be the simple thing that puts them out of this race.
All yours, Mr. Starter. Green light on.
Green flag. And here it comes, a charge to the green flag. Charging there along the bottom of the track, trying to make up about 4 places, which he successfully did before they crossed the start-finish line. AJ going to the inside. Voigt muscles his way to the bottom. Power on, and he goes into first place. Richard Petty gaining ground on Neil Bonnet here, right behind Madara Waltrip. 3 seconds covering the first 24 cars before we have a significant gap in the field. And Donnie Allison is just 1 lap down in car number 1. He's driving a broken car. It's been torn up. You could see the rent in the side of it to get back in that lead lap. Look at him go. Number 1, Allison, trying to make up that lap. If he could just get in front. Then if there was an incident, he could circle around the track and he would be right back with the hunters for victory lane here at Daytona. Parsons goes down the inside in number 27. There you see him drafting off car number 1. Benny Parsons is in the lead. Number 2, Earnhardt going to second place, getting beneath Neil Bonnet. Back in turns 3 and 4, working lap 9. Oh, crash at turn 4. Neil Bonnet. Spinning. Harry Gant out of control in number 12. Into the wall. Gant goes back into traffic with a car just missing him. My goodness. What an incredible Harry Gant. The absolute worst circumstance that can happen in NASCAR. He hit the end of that pit wall there and threw him back into the track, and he was just missed by everybody. Harry Gant. We have the replay. There's number 5 breaking away. It could have been a tire down. And look at that field. Just touching each other, nudging bumpers. And watch that car number 12, the black automobile of rookie Harry Gant, former national modified champion. Out of control at 180 miles an hour, headed for the wall. Slams into the wall and rockets 300 feet into traffic back across the track, just missed by 1 car, just missed by another automobile, and slamming into the concrete retainer on the outside. And listen to this. Donnie Allison in car number 1, when the caution came out, rushed around, and Donnie Allison, they say, has made up his lap.
Some dumb pulls right out there.
Down for the start, picking up speed. Here they come for the start.
Hey, they got one coming behind you. He's going to stop about 3 pits beyond the going down a little bit further.
A blown engine. Another car goes up in smoke. I think it's Gary Ballou's car. Yarborough trying to make up the lap. This is the thing. If Cale can lead across the start-finish line, he's picked up that lap. Caution is coming on. Here's Cale trying to make up a lap. If Donnie Allison gets back in front of him, he'll put him a lap down. They must race here at the start-finish line. Cale Yarborough. Here's Donnie Allison trying to get the lap back on a slingshot. They come on. Yarborough makes it up. He's back in the lap with the leaders. 12 cars now in the lead lap.
Yarborough then drafted through traffic, worked his way up onto Donnie Allison's bumper, setting up one of the greatest finishes in auto racing history.
The white flag is out. 1 lap to go. This is the last lap.
Stand by for a finish. 2 of the greatest fiddling here, fidgeting with first place, passing some of the stragglers in the last lap, trying to take it home. It's all come down to this. Out of turn 2, Donnie Allison in first. Where will Cale make his move? He comes to the inside. Donnie Allison throws the block. Cale hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides. They hit again. They climb up the turn. They're hitting the wall. They're head on the wall. They slide down to the inside. Let's watch those third place cars. They're out of it. Who is going to win it? Coming down. Richard Petty is now pulling out in front. Darrell Waltrip is in second. A.J. Boyd is in third. Here they come. Waltrip trying to slingshot. Petty is out in front at the line. Waltrip to the inside. Petty wins it. Down on pit road. It has gone crazy. The Petty crew is out there jumping up and down. Petty has won it.
Richard Petty has won his 6th Daytona 500, and the crowd here are going absolutely mad.
Well, there he is. After a full year without a win, as the two leaders tangled in the back straightaway, they threw the block. It didn't work. The hopes for Donnie Allison vanished. Cale Yarborough trying to win his third. He's out of it. A sad moment for these people, but for Richard Petty, hurt all of last year, driving most of the year with a broken and battered body, he comes home a winner today after 45 straight losses. The 18-year-old son of Richard Petty, Kyle, out there waiting for his father. They have both. There's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. The tempers overflowing. They're angry. They know they have lost. And what a bitter defeat.
It's difficult to tell from here, but whatever happened shouldn't really have happened.
But something special did happen. As Richard Petty entered victory lane, NASCAR entered a new era with the first live telecast of any 500-mile race. Stock car racing moved out of the agate type onto the front pages of the national sports sections. On that third Monday in February '79, Wall Street bankers commuting to work talked about the Daytona 500 instead of the S&P 500. And Petty, long a Southern folk hero in towns like Hickory and Horseshoe, became a household name in Boston and Brooklyn. Daytona 1981 brought a new look to the Winston Cup. All eyes were on Bobby Allison's downsized Pontiac Le Mans after he took the pole and led most of the race. Then, with only 60 miles remaining, Allison and the rest of the field pulled in for a scheduled green flag pit stop, adding fuel, changing tires. That put Richard Petty momentarily in the lead. Seems like old times. Richard Petty back in front of the Daytona 500. Ricky Rudd pulling on pit road. Coming in for his stop, he has been running second. He had 5 cars running that lead lap. Rudd was on the tail end of it. Let's see if Richard Petty will come in this time. Looks like he's coming down. He is getting ready to come on pit road. Richard Petty, the 6-time Daytona 500-mile champion, is on pit road to Ned Jarrett.
One of the fastest pit crews in the business. Dale Inman, the crew chief on this car. Maurice Petty, his brother, directing the traffic here as they go to work on the rocks. They're not changing tires. A change of pace here for the Petty crew. They're only adding gasoline and either way, a very quick pit stop. What strategy? We'll see how it works.
Well, Richard Petty took a chance there. It took 6.8 seconds only to put gas in, and he has maintained his lead even with the pit stop, and he's got about 1,000-foot, 1,500-foot lead on the group racing for second place, which is Buddy Baker, Ricky Rudd, and Dale Earnhardt.
Petty maintaining first, all by himself. Question being, can he stay there till the finish? Let's go get the story from the number 43 pits. Here's Ned Jarrett.
Again, as we noted, the Petty crew only added gasoline, and they only added 1 can. These cans hold 11 gallons. Now, when Petty pitted, there was still about 55 miles to go. They can run about 100 miles on a tank of gasoline here, and he was pretty close to out when he came in, so that's going to be very, very close, particularly with him out there running by himself. When they run in a draft, they're able to conserve some gasoline, but now he doesn't have the advantage of those front-running cars to draft off of. Of course, he picks up every slow car he possibly can, but will he burn more gas and too much so that he can't make it on the gas that they took on? It's going to be awfully close, as his pit crew here reports.
There's Bobby Allison trying for his 62nd career win in this Daytona 500. He's looking up from under as we look at the interval another time. It's down to 6 9/10 of a second between 43 and 28, the second place car. 1 lap to go for Richard Petty, who looks like he's on his way to his 193rd career win. I'll tell you, I want to be there the day he wins 200. The crowd up on their feet. One of the most beloved race drivers in the history of the sport, going down into turn number 2. You are watching an incredible moment in the history of motorsport. Here is a man winning the most difficult, the most prestigious stock car race there is for the 7th time. Bobby Allison. No-win situation.
The sort of strategy he pulled here is like sinking about a 90-foot putt to win the U.S. Open by 1 hole.
Out of turn number 4, Richard Petty holding on to that lead like a hammerhead shark. Here he comes, coming down, seeking out, and is he slowing down? Is he running out of fuel? He's coming across the line slowly, but he takes the checkered flag. The crowd is awaiting Richard Petty. Here he comes in, and what a response he is getting from the 100,000 gathered today.
The disappointment in the Bobby Allison pit would be almost more than you could stand. It must be just absolutely intense. They had this race locked up all month, and they just somehow blew it with only 20-odd laps to go.
That famed number 43 of Richard Petty would be the first and only stock car enshrined in the Smithsonian Institute, as later that year Petty won his 200th race, the Daytona Pepsi Firecracker 400. By 1982, we no longer just watched the cars, we were in the cars. The in-car camera we call Race Cam changed racing from a pure spectator sport to a vicarious participation event. And sometimes, like this ride with Joe Ruttman, it got a little scary.
Trouble going into turn number 1. A smoker blown in.
Oh, and a spin. I think that's Neil Bonnet up in the wall.
And Ron Bouchard has landed on the bottom of the racetrack. On the top, it looks like Benny Parsons as well as Neil Bonnet. Richard Petty's 43 all torn up. A major crash in turn number 1 is bringing out the 4th caution period of the day. That is Joe Ruttman's number 2 automobile.
The accident's already started up there. And you can see the sort of visibility, stuff coming up to the windshield there, bits of debris. This gives you just some idea of just how close. As he passes Neil Bonnet scraping along the wall.
Ruttman absolutely blessed. Ready for a restart. In second place, you're riding with Joey Ruttman. In front of him is Jim Sauter from Wisconsin. Ruttman from California go at it for first place as the green flag falls. Here they are, side by side, and now Ruttman is going into the lead. Upland, California's Joe Ruttman goes into first, but here comes car number 11 down on the inside.
Well, that's what the hand signal was, I think, was to Bobby to come right close, and it pushed them both by Sauter's car.
Oh, number 88, Bobby Allison diving onto the rear bumper down the inside. And look at Ruttman fight that wheel going into turn number 1. To the tri-oval, all that air, all that instability in the front end of these 3,700-pound, 200-mile-an-hour cars.
Bobby Allison just seems to be able to lead this race at will. He's shown tremendous form all week, and boy, is he showing some form today.
Look at them, side by side, swapping paint as they come out of turn number 4.
And there you see them, absolutely side by side through turn 4. You can see how close those cars are together, and there's Darrell Walton right behind Joe Ruttman.
Now remember, all of this is at nearly 200 miles an hour.
A little bit of smoke, a little puff of smoke there off. Is that off Darrell Waltrip's car?
It is off Waltrip's car. Waltrip falling to the inside, and you're watching the leader go away.
And there goes Darrell Waltrip's engine.
And now it's a battle back to the line. Waltrip expires on the back straightaway. Engine detonates. Waltrip out, and they're racing back to the line for position. And this is the perfect break they needed, unless this thing stays under green.
Ordinarily, a blown engine would bring out the yellow flag. But the race stayed green. With no chance to pit, fuel consumption became an issue for Allison. Larry Newber was in the pits with Allison's crew chief, Gary Nelson.
Quick word from Larry Newber.
Larry, you said you might be a little concerned about this last lap. Bobby has not been drafting.
Right. It consumes a lot more fuel not running the draft. We just got him hooked up with the 47 car 10 laps ago, but I think we got it now.
Well, less than a half ago, Ken. How's he doing?
Looking good. He's pulling up on car number 2, trying to put the Rutland car a lap down in the final moments. Here it comes. A sprint to the finish. Allison coming down, and he's right behind Rutland as they come to the line. Down the checkered flag about to come out, and sprinting to it is number 88. Bobby Allison has won the Daytona 500 for the second time in his career. Buick had swept the top 4 positions, and some kid named Elliott from Georgia was in the top 5.
1983 would go down as one of the most dramatic Daytona 500s ever. The drama began with Cale Yarborough's record-shattering qualifying lap, 200.503 miles an hour in the Harry Ranier Chevrolet. But then, lap 2, winds gusting to 40 miles an hour, catch Yarborough in turn 3. And in turn 4, big trouble. Yarborough's Chevrolet was totaled. A backup short-track Pontiac was shipped down from Charlotte. Cale requalified to start 8th with the CBS race cam on board.
We have a little surprise for you today. Cale Yarborough, can you hear us? This is Ken Squire.
Loud and clear, Ken.
Okay, Cale, how is it in there getting set to start the Daytona 500?
Well, everything looks pretty good right now. The racetrack has a lot of sand on it. Looks like it's going to be a little dusty for the first few laps. Wind looks like it's getting up a little bit too, and if the speeds are as high as I think they're going to be, it could cause problems during the day.
Good luck to you and your try for a 3rd Daytona 500.
Thank you, Ken.
Field coming down out of turn number 4, and the $1 million 25th anniversary Daytona 500 now has brought its pace car onto pit road, and the flag is out from the Vice President, George Bush. They are away. Going into turn number 1, that front row is Ricky Rudd and Jeff Bodine. That is Tim Richmond getting by Bill Elliott as he picks up 1 spot. Going down the back straightaway, moves in. Going underneath David Pearson in car number 16.
And here's Cale Yarborough in the camera car leading the Daytona 500.
Clear sailing up in front of car number 28 as you saw, as you witnessed from the driver's seat. It is Cale Yarborough in the lead, Rutland into second. Here's Richard Brooks coming down the line, and here's one car trying to get in front of him.
Oh,
in trouble.
that's Darrell Waltrip.
It is Waltrip. Out of control, he slams the wall. Undercut, almost nails Yarborough. I don't understand. He may have been trying to make up a lap.
I think he was trying to make up a lap.
That's exactly what it was.
Yep.
Darrell Waltrip was trying to make up a lap. Let's talk to Cale Yarborough. Cale Yarborough, can you hear us?
I hear you, Ken. Go ahead.
Looked like that. Did you think that a number 11 car was going to take you out?
I didn't miss him by about an inch. That was mighty close.
Have you ever had one closer that you got away from?
I don't think so. That's pretty close, Ken.
I got to tell you, that was closer than any of us thought. We're looking at it now, and Cale, it looks like he missed your rear quarter panel by a matter of inches as you sailed past him there.
Well, I knew it was close, Ken. You know, that's you can't second guess things like that. And had I backed out of it or hit the brakes, I think I'd have been right into it. So I couldn't second guess myself. I just went on through.
Cale, you're going to go for the lead on the restart.
Well, we're going to go for it as soon as we can get it. I don't know whether I can do it the first lap or not, but we're going for it.
Well, we'll be with you. How is this one going to end? It's going to go down as another of those typical great Daytona finishes. It is the great American race, and it has never looked better when it comes to its 25th conclusion. Remember that now you are with Cale. A lap and a half to go. Where is the move going to come?
Well, there you see it from both sides. You see Cale's view there at the lead of Buddy Baker. You can see from outside that the gap between Buddy Baker, Cale Yarborough, and then Cale Yarborough back to Ruttman in third spot is about the same. And then right behind them is Bill Elliott in that Ford. All of them gone very fast this week. All of them have led the race. Bill Elliott's white flag is out. Last lap.
Turn number 1, Baker there on the point. He's got to be looking in that rear view mirror, wondering where Yarborough will take his shot. Now, they're both brave, and he knows that there's no trying to contain Cale Yarborough. Cale Yarborough has one thing on his mind right now, is to take that shot. They're in the back straightaway. Here comes Yarborough to the inside. Identical to 1979. Baker gives him room, and going into first goes Cale Yarborough. Yarborough's taking the lead. Looking back, there's 98 Joe Ruttman into second place. Ruttman's going high, and here comes Cale trying to throw the block. He gets up there.
Going under Ruttman again as they come off 4.
Down they come for the finish. Here comes Baker on the outside. Bill Elliott. 3 cars side by side fighting at the line. Cale Yarborough does it.
What fantastic strategy. Jeepers, he did that just so right.
Thank you very much, CBS. Thank you very much, Cale Yarborough. What a magnificent race. What a great race, and what tremendous strategy, Cale, coming down that back straightaway.
Well, I knew what I had to do, Ken, and it's like a checker game. You know, you put yourself in the right spot, you can win the game, and that's what happened. That's what I had it planned.
We sincerely, everyone at CBS and all of American racing enthusiasts, thank you.
Thank you, Ken Carr and CBS.
Cale clinched his third Daytona 500, and a winless Bill Elliott had turned a few heads, placing second. With Yarborough's victory, drafting and the slingshot became national buzzwords. So we sent Chris Economaki and Ned Jarrett on a high-tech research mission to explain how they work. We go first to Chris Economaki.
I'm in an aerospace wind tunnel in front of a 6-bladed, 39-foot fan powered by a 9,000 horsepower electric motor that generates an airstream of over 200 miles an hour. Why?
That elusive quest for speed triggers the eternal search for the fastest car. And an arch enemy of speed is air. For at any given moment, air can toss a 3,500-pound car around as if it were a toy. Once these blades get going, here's what a car looks like in a wind tunnel at 200 miles an hour. Doesn't seem like much, does it? And keep in mind that the race teams that come here are a touchy-feely bunch of guys. So, in addition to testing the cars at high speeds, which can only be observed from a distance, a smoke wand is used at low speed to simulate the impact of the air on the car. By using this technique, crew members can get up close and see for themselves exactly what's happening. Does it make a difference? Consider drafting, that ability to follow behind someone else's car as it punches a hole in the air and then slingshot past into the lead.
Drafting is a term heard a lot around the racetrack, a term that's hard to define but easy to illustrate. The air flows across the car and is broken up to a degree by the spoiler on the rear deck lid. But when one car is running by itself, this air rushes back together and creates a vacuum which has a tendency to pull back on the front car. Aerodynamic experts have calculated that at 55 miles per hour, 50% of the horsepower is used just to overcome wind resistance. As you see, the second-place car begins to get benefits from the air broken up by the first car. The model shows what appears to be a turbulence from the first car, but the turbulence should not be mistaken as bad in all cases. Actually, the air is thinner, which lets the second car take advantage of the draft. As the driver of the second car approaches the first car, he feels himself being pulled forward at a faster rate than normal. As he enters the vacuum, the air begins to smooth out for both cars. The front car is being helped because the air is not closing back together immediately behind him. The two cars are only affecting the air once. As the second car gets to the optimum position, that is, as close as he can run, both cars are getting the maximum effect of the draft. In this position, the second-place car might only have to accelerate half throttle to keep up. He's running in such thin air, it doesn't take nearly as much horsepower. The benefits of the draft as demonstrated so far are not limited to just two cars. The same principles apply to a third car that might join the draft. As the third car joins the draft, the air begins to smooth out over all three, which permits them all to go faster. The lead car is the workhorse and is expending more energy. One of the interesting techniques in drafting is slingshotting. Many times you will see a car pull out and pass with a burst of speed, and it looks like he has suddenly generated an extra 100 horsepower. But actually, he has not had to use all of his horsepower while running in the draft. He can build up momentum in the slipstream and shoot past the first-place car. As a result, the winner might not be the driver with the fastest car, but the driver who drafts best.
Wind tunnel has been a big factor in the higher speeds that we've seen, and not only the speeds, but the drivability of the race cars. We learn an awful lot where, you know, we can go to the wind tunnel now. Years past, the racetrack was the wind tunnel. We had to learn it on the racetrack.
No one learned better than Cale. The slingshot became his trademark again in 1984 when the defending champion started on the pole.
The 1984 Daytona 500 is underway. Yarborough to the point at turn 1. Labonte drops to second. 165, 170, about 180 miles per hour now. Inside, Bill Elliott trying to draw a bead on first spot. He falls back.
Elliott being swamped on the back straight there.
Buddy Baker up on the inside. There are your two leaders for turn 3. 195 plus miles an hour now as they go into turn 3. The critical turn. Calamity corner. Neil Bonnet running 12th. You're inside of his car. He's up to 11th. And there he is, flat-footed down through there.
Well, you can see him just lifting a little tiny bit. Of course, it depends on the draft and the car in front, but he's there, a little tiny lift there.
Bonnet moving up. Not having much luck. Number 44. Labonte pulled away. There you see them, back to 3.
Well, these guys at this stage of the game with another 40-odd laps, well, less 40-odd laps to go.
Oh, car spinning. It is Richard Brooks in trouble. He's getting hit and slammed into by Ron Bouchard. Out of control, he's still sliding and spinning out of turn 4. Calamity corner claims another.
What a lucky boy he was there. I mean, nobody really tagged him too hard. Ron Bouchard is desperately unlucky to have just hit him. And he was very lucky that he didn't get hit harder in that particular situation.
This is from Joe Sakota's camera, right in turn 4. And you're right in it. They're coming right at him.
Now you can see why he wears goggles and a crash helmet.
He wears a flak jacket and a helmet.
On the restart, Waltrip first, with Yarborough tucked in the number 2 position as they prepared for a sprint to the finish.
Waltrip to the line.
Waltrip making a real flying start there, leaving everybody else way behind, and David Pearson from the lower row slotting in behind him.
Waltrip first. There's Pearson right there. Remember that Pearson...
But look at Cale Yarborough eat them up. Just look at him coming off turn 2.
Pearson, the 16 car, running in 11th. Here comes Yarborough by the Silver Fox. Chasing the 2-time champion, Darrell Waltrip. Final thought from Ned Jarrett.
We're with Jeff Hammond, Waltrip's crew chief. Jeff, he's been leading this thing. Is he where he wants to be now as you get down to the end?
Well, as he told me a little while ago on the radio, Ned, he said
he's hearing from Darrell
that he's going to try to just feel the guys out, and he's got to pick the best place. He really don't know himself.
Okay, you can see that he was listening to Darrell on one ear and trying to talk to us on the other, that he was going to feel out the competition. He doesn't really know where he wants to be. Now let's go down to Chrissy Todimac and see what Cale Yarborough's thoughts are.
What, Al, is Cale where you want him to be and where he wants to be right now?
Well, the last caution, he told me that that's where he wanted to be, is in second place, and it seems to work in second. In the Busch race, you know, he was third and ended up second. And the second place man won that race, so we just have to, you know, wait and see what he decides to do, because he's the one that knows what the car is doing and what he's capable of doing.
What's he saying?
He isn't saying anything right now.
Okay, back to you, Ken.
2 to go. 5 miles remaining for $1 million purse. Lion's share. It gets divided among all of them, of course. Here is Yarborough. There is Bonnet, line 4th, right behind Earnhardt, who's had a marvelous day. White flag, next time by. Over 100,000, they say over 130,000 coming to their feet. They sense this could be the one to remember.
It was fantastic in '76 when Pearson won it over Petty. It was great in '79 when Petty came back. Last year, Cale Yarborough with an amazing move in the last lap to set down Baker, and Bill Elliott came home in second place. This is it, the last lap of the Great American Race. Waltrip still deployed first. Yarborough in second. Yarborough edges to the outside. Back straightaway, final time. Down to the inside. The move he loves. Here he comes up to the inside. It is Cale Yarborough taking first as they get into turn number 3, coming for 4. Down to the inside. Here comes Earnhardt. Earnhardt trying for second. Bonnet trying to find a place to run. They're coming to the finish line. At the line, it is Cale Yarborough. He's done it again. Look at this battle for second place. That's Earnhardt in the yellow car on the inside. Darrell Waltrip on the outside. First across the line, Yarborough, and it is Dale Earnhardt for second place.
Yarborough had won 2 in a row, 4 in all, and for the 3rd straight year, Bill Elliott was in the top 5. But after 5 years as understudies, the Racing Elliott brothers of Dawsonville, Georgia were hoping to take center stage. In 1985, they came to town ready to blow the doors off the bit players. Bill Elliott's aerodynamic Ford Thunderbird qualified at a record 205.114 miles per hour, cruised the first 100 miles in an astounding 192 mile an hour average. Only Cale Yarborough was keeping pace.
Here's Cale Yarborough down on the inside as 88 Baker goes blowing by him.
That car is slowed down.
Cale Yarborough is slowing up. Yarborough is out of it down into the first turn. He's out of the throttle. Here he is slowing down, coming to turn number 1. You saw Baker scoot by him.
Definitely something is amiss in that car. We reported that in all of the practice and the qualifying, he was having overheating problems. In the clash last Sunday, he had overheating problems, but then he ran the full 125-mile race. Thought they had that problem cured, but there is something wrong. Whether that's it or not, you can see him weaving the car back and forth again. I don't know what that means.
It's almost like he's looking to pick up fuel. 62 laps have been completed. Cale Yarborough. Now there's the lonely leader, Bill Elliott, in car number 9. And they are a lonesome team. They don't work with anyone else. Ford would like to have them share things among the Ford teams. The Elliots will have no part of that. Here's Cale Yarborough coming onto pit road. Been running up in front all day. Joe Ruttman is also on pit road right now with the number 4 car.
Yarborough does not go into the garage area. He stays out. They're changing the right side tire, so apparently he had a flat tire, and that's why he was weaving. He couldn't help it. The tire was low. Of course, they have interliners on these tires, which would let him get back to the pits.
This will put Petty into second. Move Bobby Allison up to third.
Yarborough having a little trouble getting restarted. Apparently the car choked. Let's go to Mike Joy in the pits.
Well, the car has stalled, Ned. They're pushing it down pit road. Cale tried to pull out. He popped the clutch, and the car stalled. They can't get it refired. Still pushing. Cale pops the clutch again, and it does not catch, and they've lost about half a lap.
1 lap down now.
Elliott first, Petty second, Allison third, Dale Earnhardt in fourth, Bonnet in fifth, Benny Parsons up to sixth, Lake Speed in seventh, Terry Labonte in eighth, Ricky Rudd in ninth, Phil Parsons in 10th, and there in second and third, 2 of the giants, 2 of the masters of this game. Richard Petty, the 7-time winner here at Daytona, and he's looking right out his back window at car number 22, 2-time winner of the event, Bobby Allison. Major developments. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Cale Yarborough is in the garage, very unhappy to be standing here so early in this event. What happened?
Well, I don't know. I guess we lost a cylinder. I thought we were out of gas, but something went wrong with the engine. Gave me no indication whatsoever, and it just locked up on us on that pit stop.
Well, it looked like it was running when you came into the pit, then when you popped the clutch to take off, it seized?
Yeah, it was running, but it wasn't on 8 cylinders, probably 6 or 7 cylinders.
Who is your bet to win this race? You've had a chance to run and draft with Bill Elliott and some of the other cars.
Well, Bill Elliott doesn't have any competition now. Nobody will even run close to him.
Elliott remained comfortably in command all afternoon. But as the race drew to a close, Neil Bonnet moved up to second here along the wall, challenging Elliott by skipping a tire change pit stop. Bonnet, number 12, was closing fast, but he was running with worn tires on a racetrack that was getting hot and slippery.
Let's go to Chris Economack as to why Bonnet did not pit.
We asked Tim Brewer, why didn't you stop? He says, why should we?
Oh, Neil Bonnet's got a problem. Neil Bonnet's got a problem in the front oval here. He's spinning. Neil Bonnet out of control, almost into the wall. This is the first wall, still trying to collect it back. It looked to me like his tires went flat. The front tire started to smoke violently as he came into the trail.
That's his wife, Susan, there, and you can see the disgust on her face after him running such a beautiful race all day, and now to see him slide out through there. She doesn't really know what kind of condition he's in. We saw him that he's okay, but she doesn't know that at the moment. Here's Bonnie crawling out of the car.
Jeff Bodine, Ken Squire at CBS Control. Do you read us?
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
What kind of a day has it been for you? We thought you were going to be stout and strong from the very beginning and fell back early.
Well, we've had a busted ratchet all day. We've had trouble during the week practicing, and a ratchet has broken our rear end, and we just can't seem to get the car dialed in to go where we wanted to, and we just avoided Neil Bonnet's accident. We feel pretty lucky today. We're going to just go home and take this finish, if we can finish these last few laps, and try to get the thing ready next time we come back here to Daytona. But this track is awful tough. It's awful hard, and you've seen all these cars drop out today. That just shows you how tough a track it is. So if you can just finish here at Daytona, I guess you got to count your blessings and just come back next time and try a little harder.
Thank you very much, Jeff. White and green will be shown to the field down for the last lap. Elliott draws away. Lake Speed gets one more shot at Bill Elliott. No one's been able to contain Elliott all afternoon.
And one thing that Lake Speed didn't need was those cars running side by side with him. Of course, they were running for positions too, but he needed every clean shot that he could get to keep up with Elliott. He was not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, he wanted a bit of help there, but too late now.
First place, no contest, given to Elliott. Battle will be for third. Lake Speed is in second. Battle will be Waltrip, Baker, Rudd trying to decide that third position. There's Lake Speed right there. In the second position, Bill Elliott is on his way to his greatest race ever. Little looseness up at turn number 3. A couple of cars all the way sideways. Here they are coming back to the line. And after dominating all day, his crew out on pit road, Bill Elliott wins the 1985 Daytona 500. There you see Ernie Elliott. Dan Elliott standing there just to the left. What a moment. Lake Speed up to congratulate the winner.
Bill Elliott took the lead 8 times today and led for a total of 137 laps. Of course, his margin of victory was only a half a second. That doesn't seem like much compared to the way he ran.
The Elliots dominated the super speedways for the next 3 years, ultimately cashing the first $1 million Winston Cup championship check. $1 Million Bill's Daytona win was the second fastest Daytona 500 in history. Only Buddy Baker's 1980 victory was faster.
The 1980 Daytona 500 waving like mad as he crosses the line. Buddy Baker has done it. And even under caution, it will be the fastest race in history. How about this? The speed, ladies and gentlemen, is a new world record for 500 miles. Faster than Indianapolis, faster than Talladega. Daytona today, 177,602 miles per hour.
NASCAR's record-setting speeds naturally brought comparisons between stock cars and the computer-aided Indy or Formula One cars in a strange game of high-tech versus low-tech. The old carnival barker, Professor Economaki, explains.
This is the most expensive and technically advanced sport in the world. Formula One Grand Prix Auto Racing.
Here in Detroit, Rosberg's lead is now back to 31 seconds. He had led by as much as 37.
But the stock cars may provide the most exciting racing.
The interval first to 12, 1 3/10 of a second. That's racing.
Week after week, the Winston Cup circuit produces fender-to-fender, hub-to-hub racing using the finest 1963 state-of-the-art technology. That's right, 1963. The basic engine and suspension designs in stock cars have not changed in a quarter of a century because that's the way NASCAR wants it.
You know, the race fan comes out to see a good race, and he's interested in entertainment. I don't think he's there because of research and development.
IndyCar racing and its European cousin, Formula One, are light years ahead of NASCAR in costs and allowable technology, but not for lack of know-how.
I think the constraints were much greater in NASCAR from word go. It was, quote, stock car. Now, as you know and I know, they're anything but stock.
Obviously, in the last 2 to 3 years, the use of computers, onboard data acquisition, that sort of thing, has become a big thing in IndyCar racing. With this program we've got here, we can divide the track up into sectors, see where we've made a gain, where we've made a loss, and it really, it's a comparative tool.
The research and development expenditures needed to compete in IndyCar and Formula One can drive the cost of a car well past the $1 million mark. Today's stock car tops out at about $60,000, even with Whitewall.
When you look at an Indy 500 or a race at Michigan and you got 4 or 5 cars running at the end of the race, what does that tell you about your technology? And when you look at a 500-mile race at Daytona or Talladega and you start 40 cars and you got 35 of them running when the thing's over, what does that say about technology?
NASCAR didn't always enjoy the huge crowds one sees today. Back in the early days at the fairgrounds, they had to work to put the crowd in the grandstands. It was called ballying the midway. They used to do that, and it went like this. Attention on the grounds. Attention on the fairgrounds. Today is auto race day. One day only at the fairgrounds. Today, auto races on the dirt track. Top drivers from all over the country. Knights of the Roaring Road. Turning our half-mile track into a red-hot cauldron of speed. A special gentleman from the state capitol has been brought in to condition the track for the assault on track records we're bound to see. The thrills and spills begin with practice at noon, time trials at 1, and the first of 7 daredevil races at 2 o'clock. One day only today. Those of you who get to the tickets early get the best seats. And stock car racing has never forgotten those early days and the image it created. And that's why today, the business of NASCAR is show business.
I think the sponsors in NASCAR go out of their way to promote the idea of the good old boy image and the you know, as you say, the looking back and, you know, the moonshine runners. I mean, there's a magic to that.
We know we're putting on a good show, and we know we're doing what the fans love and what they want to see.
That's part of our mentality. We know, as drivers, as car owners, as sponsors, we know we got to put on a show. We know those cars have got to bump into each other. We know there got to be some accidents, and we know that it's in our interest for them to come across the line just a foot apart.
The 1986 Daytona 500 would provide plenty of the rough and tumble, wheel-to-wheel, fender-in-your-door racing that is the NASCAR stock in trade. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville was once again on the pole. For much of the day, he'd lead the merry chase, but it was less fun back in the pack, especially for the man called King Richard.
Richard Petty way up on the high side. Look at Petty on the wall. He tagged it. Petty picks it up, keeps on trucking.
Yeah, and he tagged the wall and he tagged those other 2 cars, which was Dave Marcus and Neil Bonnet, I think.
Let's take a look at replay from Petty's in-car camera. You just saw Buddy Baker go by him. This is in replay. Here he comes, way up on the high side where he likes to run, and all of a sudden, right there.
Well, he wasn't the first one, Ken, that had hit that wall. You can see the marks there where others have been in there, but he did a beautiful job of bringing it back. He could have panicked there and really have got crossways.
Field coming down, and Petty will pit.
Petty coming in. He must have damaged the right side of the
Richard
car.
Petty is coming in, and Sterling Marlin driving the Haas Ellington car number 1.
Okay, let me go. Okay, they ain't dragging. Let him go. Okay, he told his pit crew that if the tires were not dragging, to let him go.
Seeking his 8th Daytona 500 victory, Petty was quickly back on the track, but his troubles were far from over.
Richard Petty is running in 15th in the lead lap. He's still in the hunt, but that car's using up a lot of racetrack.
It's not handling as well as he expected.
Whoa, there he is up on the wall now. Definitely not handling as well as
Richard
expected.
Petty has snarled the wall. You can hear that car striving to stay alive.
And the caution
is out for Petty. Richard Petty
he hit that wall pretty good. Yeah.
He brushed it up here in 4, and now you can see Richard Petty's number 43. Listen to that car coming apart. Let's see what happened here on car number 43. Petty dancing down out of turn number 2 here. He took a terrible
He
hit.
did.
Yeah.
See how far his head came over when he hit the wall.
Something seems like it must have gone wrong because he was going fine and just suddenly moved up there.
Came off the wall and hit a second time. You know, even though you have those shoulder harnesses on and you are part of that car, you can see how much strain there is on the body when you slam the wall. It'll take you to the other side of the race car.
Okay, here's another angle.
Oh, yeah, something broke. You see the smoke first.
Yeah, he went straight to the wall.
Yeah.
As the day wore on, Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine took turns up front, with Elliott in hot pursuit, coming through turn 3.
Oh, a spin at 3.
There's trouble, lots of trouble up in turn 3.
Joe Ruttman, there's cars crashing into each other all over.
Harry Gant almost went up.
Haley Yarborough's in it. Did Elliott get through or not? I think Elliott's been tagged. I thought I saw Bill Elliott. There's the Harry Gant car. I think Elliott is just to the right of your screen. I thought I saw him slide to the grass, and I believe that may be him there. And let's take a look at what started this incident. There's the first car breaking away. There you see the tremendous impact on Ruttman's car. He was head-on into the wall. And it looked like it was Bonnet's car that started. There's Harry Gant leaping. Over there is Lake Speed spinning.
That's Bill Elliott getting sideswiped there.
The Elliott brothers were able to get Bill back in the race, but when they dropped the green flag, it would come down to a shootout between Earnhardt and Bodine, with both men racing on fumes. He who pits loses.
The crowd is on their feet, getting ready for the finish here this afternoon. $1.5 million at stake. Bodine and Earnhardt both seeking to win this thing for the first time. Earnhardt pulls up on that outside.
Josh Bodine wants to go past in the worst possible way.
Yeah, he's aggravating Bodine there now.
Oh, God, yeah. He'll be slowing down. There's Tim Richmond just passing Tim Richmond.
There's Earnhardt's crew standing out ready to come in. And Earnhardt is coming in. Absolutely out of gas.
Earnhardt is coming in. The question is, can Bodine go the distance? Does Gary Nelson know enough about fuel economy to make it work? Let's go to Chris Economack.
This is going to cost Dale Earnhardt the race. He's overshot his pit. They have to pull the car back in order to meet the rules. He just needs a couple of quarts. He's gone on his way, and it looks like Mr. Bodine is going to be the beneficiary. Mike Joy, take it.
Gary Nelson talking to his driver right now as the laps wind down. We'll wait till he gets off the microphone here. Jubilation a moment ago in the Rick Hendrick Motorsports pit.
Something's wrong on that car as it came out of the pits. Something is amiss on Earnhardt's car. He has struggled so long, so hard.
He blowed her up.
He could have in the haste coming out of the pits.
Dropped the clutch and broke something, I'm sure.
Coming down. White flag is out. Jeff Bodine into his final lap. Just praying, and we listen now as that car goes into turn number 1 for a burp, anything from that motor that might spell disaster for Bodine. Remember, lurking 13 seconds back now, Terry Labonte. From the in-car camera, you may see Jeff Bodine win the Daytona 500. You may be riding with him. He's in the back straightaway. What a sensation, Ned.
That's his fuel gauge. His fuel gauge is the one on the right. See that little gauge that's flickering on the right-hand side of the dashboard with the F under it? I'm sure that's probably his fuel gauge, pressure gauge, which at the moment doesn't seem to... See it flickering there?
It is definitely flickering when it goes into the turn.
And it goes into the turn. He's getting mighty close. See the needle's going down now.
You're riding down for the finish. Checkered flag is out, and you are with Jeff Bodine as he wins the 1986 Daytona 500. Bodine has done it. CBS camera on board. The Rick Hendrick Racing Stable out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Jeff Bodine from Chamonix, New York, has won the Daytona 500.
Bill Elliott limped in 21st. But in 1987, $1 million Bill once again qualified his Thunderbird at more than 200 miles an hour. For 4 years, cars at Daytona had been topping 200 miles an hour. So we asked Ned Jarrett to give us a speed demonstration ride, one we could all appreciate.
It's hard to capture the illusion of speed. So we took our convertible out for a cruise on the interstate, running along at 55 miles an hour. Of course, we all know that we're passed occasionally by someone going 65 to 70 miles an hour, some 10 to 15 miles an hour faster. The same thing happens on the racetrack. With our in-car cameras, they show you that one car running along at 190 miles an hour is passed by a car going 200 miles an hour, but that doesn't really give you the true feeling of speed. So let's take a little spin around the Daytona International Speedway, get our car up to 55 miles an hour, and let Terry Labonte's Oldsmobile come by at over 200 miles an hour.
And here comes Terry. And there goes Terry. Let's look at that one more time. Poor Ned's car's like the battery-powered bunny. Still going. You had to run 200 miles an hour just to stay on the lead lap in 1987. The names were the same as 86. Bodine, Elliott, Earnhardt. It would be decided on a thimbleful of gas.
Bodine making the move on the inside for second position. Almost touching here.
Now that's what you call door handle to door handle racing.
That sure is. Just a couple of men happy at their work.
Although they don't have door handles on these cars.
That's 200 miles an hour. We're at lap 186. They'll be getting ready to fuel shortly. And it will be just a topping of the tank and on their way.
Now it's Bill Elliott getting into the pits. And it'll be interesting to see. Jeff Bodine's crew in particular have gotten better gas mileage over the years. He might be able to, he might gamble and try to stretch it the rest of the way. Bill Elliott knows he can't. Bobby Allison knows he can't. They're both in.
Mike Joy.
Elliott getting that gulp of gas. Kenny Schrader locked in the strategy for everybody. Took more than about 6 seconds, and I don't think he got a full can of fuel. From this point, he probably doesn't need it, though.
As they are situated. Earnhardt first, Baker second, Petty third, Bodine fourth, Parsons fifth, Ricky Rudd sixth, Cale Yarborough. And now, let's see if indeed car number 3 is going to come in.
Yes.
And Baker's going to come in. They've pitted in tandem before in this race. Now you have a battle between those two. Richard Petty takes the lead. Would he win an 8th Daytona 500? Unprecedented. Here's Dave Despain.
Dale Earnhardt on pit road. Nothing fancy about this. Splash some fuel in the car and then turn him loose. It's taken a little longer than they'd like. They wanted to make sure that they got all the fuel they needed. It's a drag race down pit road to see who get out first.
Baker out first. Here comes Petty on pit road. And that leaves Bodine. And the issue is, will they gamble it?
I'm with Gary Nelson, and now there's just one little Indian out on the racetrack. The gas mileage kings of NASCAR racing, talking to his driver. Gary, are you going to stop?
Well, we're going to stop either by being out of gas or because the race is over. We feel like either win or lose. Our calculations show we're going to run out on the last lap, and that's a close enough gamble for me. We're going to give it a try.
Dale Earnhardt tried that 1 year ago. He came up 3 laps short on gas, and these guys beat him. Reverse strategy this year.
So Jeff Bodine is in front, running on empty. Bodine won this race a year ago, trying to duplicate it. Can he stay there? There's Davey Allison drafting with him and pulling alongside. Looks like he's slowing down.
Yes, it does. Now, if he could have stayed on with
Davey Allison, he is out of fuel, I believe. He's juggling it. He's at the worst place he can be. He's running out of fuel. He is losing the 500 right here. Bodine gambled. Got snaked. The Great American Race with another surprise right at the end. Elliott with 1 lap to go. 2.5 miles remaining. Richard Petty closing in. There's Parsons in that Harry Hyde car. Moving up. Ford in first. Chevrolet in second. Pontiac in third. Daytona 500. Down to it. Final lap.
Elliott staying low on the racetrack. He knows that he's just got to stay down there and hope that Benny Parsons can't catch enough draft. Parsons coming right down on the racetrack with him on the low side, trying to pick up that draft, but again, I'm afraid he's too far behind.
Here they are for turn number 3. Parsons still trying to close. Final lap. Last sprint out of turn number 4. The pride of Georgia, Bill Elliott, screaming car number 9 to bring it home and give Ford and give the folks from Georgia something to cheer about. He comes across the line to win it by about 10 car lengths. Bill Elliott, 2-time winner of the Great American Race. Second place with a and a great performance, Benny Parsons, and third to the king, Richard Petty.
If NASCAR ever needed a demonstration of just how their emphasis on safety has worked out, they would look no further than this man and this car, Richard Petty, 1988, the Daytona 500, lap 106.
Bad trouble, bad trouble.
Okay, a terrible crash. Richard Petty's car has turned over 7 or 8 times coming off turn 4 and was just struck by another car. It's one of the most violent accidents we've ever seen at the Daytona International Speedway here as leader Darrell Waltrip squeezes through. Petty's car nosed into the wall and then went sideways and barreled end over end and then side over side time after time. A terrible accident involving the man who has won this race 7 times over the years. Alan Kulwicki in car number 7 was involved. His car is limping towards the pits, and there is the damaged number 43 STP Pontiac of Richard Petty out there on the track.
Richard Petty was running in a pack of cars, and the back end starts to go around, and looks like it might have been tagged.
These cars are built to take these kind of crashes. And chromoly frames that serve as a roll cage up under the roof to keep the car from crushing down on the driver.
Though we feared for the worst as Richard was taken to nearby Halifax Hospital, the NASCAR safety system had done its job. Petty returned to the track to see the end of the 500. He raced 1 week later and finished third in Richmond, Virginia. As the green flag flew late in the day, an all-star cast led the pack.
Allison and Waltrip go for it.
That's got to be a psychological blow to Waltrip.
We'll see. Here he is on the outside trying to take some room back. Davey Allison gets into it. 3 cars for the Llewellyn.
Where Davey Allison is, he's helping down.
Yeah, he's
Father and his father.
Yeah, when he moves up there, that helps Darrell a little bit, but maybe Davey's car won't work down low, but Bobby's doing okay on his own.
Bobby Allison goes out in front, still even. And there's the view from Davey Allison of this battle for the Daytona 500.
Now he's down giving Dad a boost.
And Dad takes advantage of it. Gets out in front by about 4 feet. Waltrip comes back. But no, these 2 cars in the bottom of the track look like they're going to go home.
Well, Davey's the key right here as to who's going to lead this race. As to who he gets behind.
By staying behind his father, he pulls up. He goes to second. Dad goes out in front. Waltrip falls to third.
Look at Bobby go.
Bobby Allison's wife, Judy, looking on here, pretty excited from behind Davey Allison's car. That's what you see, and Waltrip is falling further back, as you see.
Yes, he is.
Darrell Waltrip is falling back. Baker pulling up. Parsons pulling up.
Now, and Davey's going to take on his father before this one is over. It'll be interesting to see how he handles Dad. Davey, what are you going to do?
He's got less than half a lap to do.
And they have enough lead. I believe this is going to be a battle between the father and son. I don't think anybody else can try it, but here he comes. He's going to do it.
To the bottom. He's down low. Bobby Allison high. Davey Allison trying the inside move. Bobby Allison holds him off. They come to the stripe, and the winner of the 30th annual Great American Race, Bobby Allison. Davey Allison, his son, in second. Judy Allison ecstatic. What a tremendous family performance.
Look at him, Bobby waving to Davey.
Did you hear Davey saying, I made a try for him at turn 4, but he was too strong. The Alabama gang has conquered the Daytona 500.
It was the Allisons' finest hour. Bobby would return to Daytona in 1991 as a car owner following a serious accident in Pocono, Pennsylvania. Once again, Darrell Waltrip had come tantalizingly close to the only thing that had eluded him in NASCAR, a Daytona 500 victory. As Mike Joy reports, the strain was beginning to show.
The Daytona 500 has not been kind to Waltrip. In fact, it's been brutal.
Trouble. That's Darrell Waltrip. It is Waltrip. Out of control. He slams the wall. He's going to get almost nails Yarborough.
People say the old Waltrip's never been the same since Daytona. 1983 had that bad wreck. It was a bad wreck, but it didn't hurt him.
But if Waltrip can't win Daytona this year, it will hurt, but in a different way.
If we don't win the Daytona 500, I'm just worried about our emotional state of being, you know, what it'll do to our emotions.
The pressure was clearly on Darrell Waltrip for the 1989 500. And he would be pitted against pole sitter Ken Schrader most of the day.
To complete lap number 1 of the Daytona 500. Out in front breaks Waltrip. It's Waltrip on the point, coming by at 195 miles an hour. In second, it's Schrader. And going to third is the Ford of Terry Labonte.
On lap 23, Davey Allison out of turn 2 is tagged by Jeff Bodine. The 28 down onto the berm, protecting Lake Lloyd. Allison going wheel to wheel. Same place he wound up in 1991. From inside Bill Elliott's car, there was more to this incident. Here's Elliott, and here comes the human cannonball, Ronnie Sanders, trying to evade some action, instead gets right into it, tagging Bobby Hillin, who comes directly across the track and almost takes Elliott. Davey Allison was able to get back on his wheels, drive back to the pits, and rejoin the race.
Back in that traffic, Ken, is Darrell Waltrip, where he did not want to be, in the middle of a group, as he said before, and it's quite heavy.
Car in trouble. It's Jody Ridley. The number 9 car has crashed in the back straightaway. 84, Mike Alexander has crashed. Here's Jody Ridley trying to get it fired. Dale Jarrett getting tagged there, right in front, and several more cars. A major incident at lap 73. Dale Jarrett's car is down, Jody Ridley is down, and several others.
As the race wound down to another last lap Daytona finish, Waltrip fell back, relinquishing command to Schrader, number 25, and Earnhardt.
There you see them, both looking for their first 500 victory. Ken Schrader in the number 25, and the man in black, Dale Earnhardt, 3-time Winston Cup champion, but he's never won this one.
Schrader has been getting a better mileage of any other driver on this racetrack, but he doesn't have enough gas to get to the checkered flag.
Ricky Rudd back underway. Schrader and Earnhardt both pitting.
Schrader, 25, Earnhardt, number 3, both grabbed a couple of quarts of gas. Meanwhile, Alan Kowicki, number 7, and Darrell Waltrip, 17, moved to the front of the draft. Both men running on fumes.
There's the leader, Kowicki. He has not pitted as yet.
No, nor has Darrell Waltrip.
Here they are. Earnhardt, here comes Schrader, the inside. He is going for third position. 7 and 17 have yet to pit. Schrader pulls into third.
And it looks like he might be able to drive on away from Earnhardt and maybe even break the draft. So
7 slowing down. 17 is by himself.
Evidently, he's out of gas.
Kowicki.
He's out of gas.
Ran it lean. Down the back straightaway. He's slowing down. 17. Waltrip in front. I think he's going to take the gamble.
I believe he will.
What has he got to lose?
That's right.
The only thing they remember is first place. Kowicki dives onto pit road. Alan Kowicki brings the number 7 down. It's over for him. Looking back at the leader, Darrell Waltrip, from Rusty Wallace's camera. Final moments of the 31st Daytona 500. Waltrip to the inside. The white flag is out. And Schrader's wife looking on.
She can't believe he can go that far on a tank of fuel that Darrell Waltrip can. He's drafting, trying to save every bit of fuel he possibly can.
In the last lap, the interval is immense. It's a question of fuel. Can Waltrip hold out?
He could have coasted now, I think.
Yeah, he's about close enough now that he could coast across the start-finish line and still win.
Out of turn 4, after 17 years of effort, the Daytona 500 belongs to Franklin, Tennessee's Darrell Waltrip. He's done it. He's done it. Second place at stake to the line. Number 25. Schrader will take second. 7 seconds back, almost 8. Right behind him comes Dale Earnhardt. Do you believe it? Here's the number 17. Darrell Waltrip rolling down pit road. Now let's get to the ecstasy of victory. Here's Mike Joy in victory lane with Darrell Waltrip.
Driver Darrell Waltrip, wife Stevie.
Oh, I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500.
Darrell, how long?
Wait. This is the Daytona 500, isn't it? Don't tell me it isn't. Thank God.
How many years and how long and how hard?
Daytona, drama, danger, dedication. In the last hour or so, you've experienced it all. The only thing left to do is actually try and drive one of these rascals at about 200 miles an hour. And we're going to help you simulate that right now. Here's what you need to do. Just move that chair about 6 feet from the TV set, turn the lights way down low in the old TV room, kind of focus your eyes in like this right on the set, turn the audio all the way up, and stand on it. Well, you didn't expect to win the Daytona 500 on your first try, did you? And so for all the drivers, all the teams, all the families who make the Daytona 500 the great American race, and for our CBS team, Chris Economaki, David Hobbs, Mike Joy, Dave Despain, and Ned Jarrett, I'm Ken Squire saying goodbye from the Daytona International Speedway.